What up, cucks? I'm filming this video on Friday, so correct me if I'm wrong because this is a guess, motherfuckers. It's not a prediction. You know what I'm saying? Tonight on Friday Night SmackDown, on the agenda is a contract signing between Cody, or as we call him around these spots nowadays, Rhodey. Rhodey Chodes, motherfuckers. Rhodey Chodes is gonna sign a contract with Logan Paul. Now, before the last bullshit pay-per-view, which was like 5 horrible matches in front of an overzealous crowd, Rhodey, our hero Rhodey, had yet another contract signing with AJ Styles, right? So as far as I'm concerned, this cocksucker's title reign is marked not by good wrestling or being a fun champion, but it's marked by boring-ass contract signings and face-offs while Rhodey wears a brown suit, right? Now, if you are not a liar, right, and you are a big Cody Rhodes fan, which in my opinion is almost an impossibility now to be both honest and a Cody Rhodes fan, if you are not this kind of, silly mark, then you are asking yourself, what the fuck, right? This is one of the worst title reigns of all time. Here's why. Number one, why is it that Cody Rhodes, Rhodey Chodes as we say here, why is it that Rhodey Chodes is someone that gets to have contract signings, right? Why doesn't Damian Priest get a contract signing? Damian Priest just gets told the next guy is this guy, motherfucks. Damian Priest just goes out there and at the very least, he wrestles. Now, I'm not saying that Damian Priest should be getting contract signings. Maybe he got one with Jey Uso. I know they had a face-to-face. The promo part is important, right? But you cannot be this elitist champion, right? This is not a real sport. The fact that they're treating it as such, right? Basically, it goes like this, motherfuckers. John Jones can fight once a year because he's a real athlete. So as a result, fake sports like wrestling want to have these big fight feel every time, right? And they're too dumb to understand that the contract signing is not what makes it a big fight feel. The big fight feel can happen in one of two reasons, and I will outline them for you in a different video. But for this video, we're talking about Rhodey Chodes and how Rhodey Chodes, all he does is sign contracts, right? Now, when a wrestler like Rhodey comes out wearing a 3-piece suit, right? This to me is already unacceptable, right? You can wear a suit like Triple H would wear a suit when he was in Evolution, like a loose suit, right? A suit that you can take off and then promptly put on your wrestling tights because it's time for you to have a match. But when Rhodey comes out wearing like a 3-piece suit with a fucking lapel pin, right? Then we know he's not wrestling, right? It takes like 30 minutes to put on that bullshit. So he's out there overdressed in wrestling, right? This is a presentation. It's a form of entertainment where people come out wearing black tights and nothing else sometimes. But this asshole has to wear a suit. Now that's fine. Wear your suit if you're willing to take it off and go and wrestle, right? The idea that nobody can just beat the shit out of a Rhodey, right, on a random episode of SmackDown because you know it's not going to happen is inexcusable, motherfucks. Every time there was a champion in the Attitude Era, every episode of Raw and every episode of SmackDown, the subtext, right? The subtext always was, this guy could get his ass kicked tonight, right? In fact, many episodes of Raw and SmackDown ended in such a way where you couldn't wait for next week to see who would get their ass kicked, right? So you might have an episode of Raw end with, I don't know, The Rock getting his ass kicked by DX, right? Immediately the next week you're thinking to yourself, man, I wonder how The Rock is going to get payback, right? That's the point. Nowadays, you wonder what other non-wrestling thing will the Rhodey do this week? It's unacceptable, motherfucks. This guy has had one televised match since WrestleMania. And that was against Carmelo Hayes, right? It's a throwaway match that nobody gives a flying fuck about. As far as I know, he hasn't had one other TV match. Why not? Why the fuck not? He's basically doing the same thing as Roman Reigns, right? I personally don't think. I think the next pay-per-view is like next week, actually. But I don't see how Rhodey is going to have another match until that pay-per-view. So, what the fuck did we change here? Why not just let Roman Reigns be the champion? What does Rhodey add? Right? That's why I made the other video where I said this is not his story at all. He literally is a placeholder champion, right? To the credit of Seth Rollins, who also hasn't wrestled in like months, right? Except for WrestleMania. At the very least, he was there. He was there and he was wrestling almost every week. Not every week, as we've established in my video where I talk about this, but he was at least presently wrestling, right? Rhodey, I understand he's injury prone because every time Rhodey has a match, it's like, oh, is this the end of his career? It's like every fucking match he has an injury, right? Like this guy's been injured like 10 times since he's been back. But anyways, I digress. The point is, Rhodey, if he's so injury prone, he should at least have quick squash matches or tag matches where the other guy does the work, right? Something needs to happen here, right? How else are you going to get new fans, right? Imagine if you're a new fan, right? And you tune in to SmackDown randomly. Let's say there's going to be some people that tonight, this Friday that is, which is tonight, Cucks, that tonight, these people decide for the first time ever, oh, I think I'm going to tune into this SmackDown thing that I keep seeing on the TV Guide or whatever the case may be, right? And they tune in and they see it's going to be Rhodey signing a contract against Logan Paul, right? And they're like, oh, so these guys are going to fight at the pay-per-view. Well, I like the other things that I saw. I like that Raul Mendoza wrestled fucking Berto, right? I like that, so this might be interesting. How do I watch this live event? Oh, I gotta pay for it through Peacock. Well, I would consider paying for it if I knew what the fuck Rhodey was capable of doing, right? But why the fuck would anyone buy or subscribe to a subscription streaming service to watch something like Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul when you cannot see for free what they're capable of doing, right? In the Attitude Era, which I'm using only as a reference point to denote peak wrestling, right? In the Attitude Era, you would see these things play out, right? Maybe not everybody, but there was no situation where there would be like one episode of Raw and Triple H wouldn't wrestle, The Rock wouldn't wrestle, Stone Cold wouldn't wrestle. Like, you needed a main event, right? At the very least, if there might be some one-off Raw where the main event was like Big Show versus Jericho or something, right? But those two guys are legends and, obviously both going to be Hall of Famers. But the idea was the main eventers were in the main event on Raw as well, motherfucks. It wasn't like the main eventers just wrestle at pay-per-views and the main event of Raw has to be like Sami Zayn versus Otis, right? That's like a fucking opening match. That's not a main event in anything, cucks. So with that being said, let's look forward to another Rhodey moment. Rhodey is going to come out tonight. You know what? I'm going to upload this video today so that it doesn't seem like I'm a fucking clairvoyant. You know what I'm saying? Or rather, so it doesn't seem that I lied. Because I'm telling the truth, cucks. Rhodey's going to come out. He's going to say the same shit he said about Logan Paul. And then the onus will fall on Logan Paul to make the segment go over. In other words, Logan Paul is going to be the one who is going to have to, if you will, say various things, do various things, and get the crowd riled up by probably saying something about Cody sucking ass, maybe mentioning his father. That seems to be a nice go-to, right? He's going to have to get the heat because Cody Rhodes, this experiment has obviously been a colossal failure. When people were clamoring back in like 10 years ago or whatever that Cody Rhodes should be champion, a significant segment of us would say like, no, motherfuckers, no, Cody Rhodes should not be a champion, right? And the people that said this specifically because they knew that if Cody Rhodes would be champion, it would be another John Cena, except without the talent, without the charisma, without the mainstream appeal, without the physique, and without the capacity to not be a cruiserweight mid-card jobber, right? Rhodey is just that. He is not good at promos, but he cuts them anyways, right? He has a lisp, but he cuts promos anyways. He overly emotes, but he cuts promos anyways. And that's all he does, right? And that's what we can expect from Rhodey today and tomorrow and the day after and whenever the fuck he feels like showing up and blessing us. I lisped myself out like cucky up in this bitch. But Rhodey is only going to bless us with his presence in the ring every couple of months, it looks like. And let's be real. When these things happen, it's going to be 90% entrance and 10% match, motherfuckers. With that being said, go fuck yourselves.